Hi guys, I'm Mary Beth Fights, the blogger behind Agricultured and Alarm Clock Wars. If you're anything like me, you know that your grocery store sells whole chickens in the meat case. You probably know that they cost a little bit less than the prepackaged pieces up the aisle just a little bit. But you may not know what to do with that whole chicken once you get it home. In this short video, I'll walk you through an easy way to cut up a whole chicken into its individual pieces. Then you can use those pieces any way you want. Are you ready? It's easy. Let's go. You really only need a few basic tools for this job. You need your chicken, of course, a good pair of kitchen shears, and you need a sharp utility knife or chef's knife. You also need a large cutting board, as large as you've got, so you've got enough room to work on. And if your cutting board is slippery at all, whoa, there goes the knife. You want a mat underneath it, a rubberized mat to hold it in place. And then a plate to put your chicken parts on. So here we go. My husband John is going to show us how it's done. We're going to start by separating the drumstick and the thigh from the chicken. So just grab the drumstick and pull it away a little bit, and then make a cut in that skin. So you separate the skin on the drumstick and thigh from the skin on the rest of the bird. Once you've got that skin cut, you're going to hold the whole leg in one hand and pull it back until the bone pops out of the joint. That's the thigh bone right there that we can see. That's where we're going to cut. You want to cut through that joint to separate out the thigh and the drumstick in one piece from the rest of the bird. And when that's bent back like that, you can really see just exactly where you want to cut. So we cut below the joint to the bottom of the bird, and then come back and cut up right as close to the body as you can. You want to get as much meat on this thigh as possible. And then just cut through the skin. If your knife's not working great for cutting through the skin, this is a good job for your kitchen shears. Alright, then we'll set that aside. So you've got a drumstick and a thigh together, and in just a couple minutes we'll come back and show you how to take those apart. Then just turn the bird around, do the same thing on the other side. Cut through the skin between the leg and the body of the bird. Grab the leg in one hand and pull it back until you get the thigh bone popped out. And then this time we're working above the bone towards the top of the bird, again cutting as close to the body as possible to get as much meat on that thigh. Right through that joint. You don't want to cut through any bone, you want to cut through the joint between the bones. And then cutting back towards the bottom of the bird to get the rest of that thigh separated. There we go. Drumstick and thigh number 2. Okay, and now we will show you how to separate the thigh from the drumstick. So you're going to turn it over so the skin side is down, and you can see there's a nice line of fat that runs right between the drumstick and the thigh. That's right where the joint is. You're going to put your knife right on that fat line and cut straight down towards your cutting board. You may have to go to the right or the left just a little bit. Again, the goal here is to cut between the bones through the joint, not to actually cut through a bone. So if it feels like you're cutting through bone, you're not quite in the right spot. There's a thigh and a drumstick. And we'll do it again for the second one. Okay, again, that line of fat, knife right on it, and cut straight down towards the cutting board. Drumstick and thigh. Next, we'll separate the wings from the body of the bird. Grab a wing in one hand, put your thumb at where the wing joins the body of the bird, and wiggle it up and down a little bit. Should be able to feel where that joint is. Again, we want to cut through the joint between the bones. So just use the point of your knife to get it started, and you should be able to between using your thumb to feel where that joint is and then the point of your knife to get into the joint between the bones, the wings should be relatively easy to take off. Then turn it around and do the other side. This time he's actually turned the bird, so we're looking at its back right now. Looking for that wing joint.
And that just has to do with being right-handed.
So just using the knife, after he felt for where the joint is, using the knife to find it again. And then cutting straight down through the joint, cutting through the skin, and taking the wing apart. Okay, next we're going to take the backbone off, so all we're left with is the chicken breasts. I'm going to turn the bird breast side up again, and we're going to use kitchen shears for this part. So there's a nice fat line right there between the breast and the back. You're just going to use your kitchen shears and cut right along that fat line. As you get up to the top there, you will cut through some ribs, so it may sound a little crunchy, it may feel a little crunchy. That's okay. There is a bone you need to cut through right up at the top, but it's a small bone. Your kitchen shears should be able to handle it. And then the same thing on this side, right up that fat line to separate out the bones from the back. Now the back is not something that you want to cook up and eat necessarily, but definitely don't throw it away. The back does have some good meat on it. We'll use that as a base for some homemade chicken broth. I'll show you guys that in another post. In the meantime, if you're not ready for it right now, stick it in a Ziploc freezer bag, date it and label it, pop it in your freezer until you are ready for some homemade chicken broth and homemade chicken noodle soup. Now we're going to separate the two halves of the breast. So you turn your chicken breasts again skin side up, flatten out the skin a little bit so you've got even skin on both halves of the breast. And then we'll flip it over and look at the underside. Now there's a little bit of there's a bone between those, the two halves of the chicken breast, and we're going to take that out. There's some cartilage right here, so you want to use your knife and cut through the cartilage. You'll feel when you get through the cartilage and down to the bone, it changes in texture underneath your knife. So we're not trying to cut through the bone, just through the cartilage. Once you've got the cartilage cut, grab one half of the breast in each hand and bend it backwards to break that open. And then use your fingers to work down either side of that breastbone. And the goal is to pop that breastbone out in one piece. And there you go. So there's the breastbone that we just took out from inside the chicken. The two colors on that are perfectly normal. So then all that's left to do is separate the two halves of the chicken breast. Just use your knife and cut straight down along that center line right to the cutting board. And if your knife's not getting through the skin the way you'd like, again, kitchen shears are a great tool for that task. So there we go, 2 chicken breasts. Now these are not boneless. We did take out the breastbone in the middle, but there are still ribs inside these chicken breasts. So keep that in mind when you're cooking with them. But here we've got 2 breasts, 2 wings, 2 drumsticks, and 2 thighs all ready to be marinated and battered and made into Mama's famous fried chicken recipe. Stay tuned. Thanks for helping, John.